That's where I love seeing other content producers, how we all got to do the struggles.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel. My name is Sonya of Sonya G Coaching and Let the Lady Speak podcast. Today, however, the gentlemen are speaking. This is the men's lounge. I have some great men here today, and we're going to talk about men and mental health. We have special guests. I will have them introduce themselves, but I want to first give you gentlemen your flowers and say thank you so much for coming on our channel, on my channel. Thank you for being willing to share. Thank you for, just saying yes to me. Everybody was like, yes, we could talk about it, no problem. And that is huge because I know mental health is not something that especially our community likes to talk about and share. And I appreciate you guys so much for being here today. Okay, our audience appreciates you as well. A lot of the ladies were like, yes, we need to talk about this too. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you as well.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. So I'm going to start with you, Alex. Oh, let me just say this before I get started. Alex is the reason why we're talking about this today. Alex contacted me and said this is the topic we really need to talk about. And so that's a big reason why we're here. And these gentlemen, without question, were just like, yes, we could talk about it. And they came on board. So I want to make sure I honor you, Alex, for doing that. And Chris, it's JDUB and Alex. I have so much respect for you. And I just want you to know that, okay?
Thank you,
Thank
Sonya.
you.
You're
Appreciate that.
welcome. You're
No
welcome.
problem.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
So I'm Alex W. Leath. My channel is called Magnetic Repellent. And as Sonya stated, I did contact her about this because a couple of months ago I saw a movie called Smile. And although it's a horror movie, it really affected me in a lot of different ways. And I did a podcast about it on my own channel. So those that want to go and see that. But it was very powerful dealing with trauma. And I think we need to talk about that, find out what our vulnerabilities are, our triggers are, is the huge thing. People don't understand their triggers. And kind of get this out in the open. And as men, we're always looked at to be big, strong, powerful. But there's times when we're vulnerable and weak and we have nowhere to turn, then a lot of us go and we unalive ourselves, so to speak. So we got to talk about this stuff.
Absolutely. I agree. Mr. Markland?
Hey, I'm Christopher Markland, and I also have a show as well, the CM show, and I'm an author. And just to piggyback off of what Alex said, I saw that movie as well, and what really resonated with me about the movie was the protagonist couldn't share with anyone what she saw, what she was experiencing, and that's something that we as men, especially black men, can't necessarily share. Either we're not able to articulate the issues, or if we do, they're not given the weight. So I definitely can appreciate how that movie spoke to you, because it definitely spoke to me as well, Alex.
Thank you. It's JDUB.
It's me. It's JDUB, YouTube's #1 commenter. I do all types of reviews for reality shows. No, nothing in particular, just something that I guess feels popular, feels good to my spirit. I just want to thank you, Sonya, for inviting me on here. If I'm honored from a licensed professional that to be here and be able to speak and share my stories and share my wisdom with the people. So I just want to thank you again because I really respect your content. That's why I'm here. I'm here on the request of you. So I'm no expert, but I'm here to share.
We're all an expert in our own lives, and don't make a thug cry on this platform.
Thugs need love too. Thugs can
Yeah,
cry.
they do. And this
Yes,
is
we
definitely
do.
a safe space, so thank you for having it. It's safe for
Yeah.
you too, even if it's your own platform. Definitely.
And that's true. And that's true. So I shared, thank you guys for the kind sentiment. I shared on my channel how I kind of like taking a break because this time of year is such a tough time of year. As you know, I'm a registered nurse and I'm also a life and relationship coach. And everyone was having such a tough time this year, and it gets a little heavy. And then we started hearing about people unaliving or SIing themselves. And I see it a lot. I see a lot of people coming to hospital struggling with just surviving. And men are the ones who, a lot of times I've noticed, again, won't say anything. You know, I grew up around a lot of men. I grew up with a lot of uncles. I have 6 uncles. I grew up with 5 and 2 grandfathers, and they taught me how to read the room when it came to men. And my one uncle owned a barbershop, and he would just have me sit in the barbershop and listen. He would say, just listen to what they're saying. Don't say anything, you know? And I learned so much about men, but Black men in particular, because of course it was a Black owned barbershop in a Black neighborhood. And sometimes I feel like we don't recognize you guys as human as a whole. I'm making a blanket statement, unfortunately. And that hurts my heart, because you guys are human. You do have feelings, and the same things that we experience, you just experience them differently. And so I just kind of like, I love that we have this conversation going, and I'm looking forward to more. So I want to start with Twitch, the Twitch boss, whom I wasn't familiar with. And my guy friend texted me. It was like, do you hear about this? And that's when I kind of looked into it. And I saw a video of his he did on TikTok like the day before, where he was in a good mood. It appeared he was dancing and everything. And the next day he took his life. So my question to you gentlemen is, how do you feel about that? What were your initial thoughts? Like, and have you experienced anything like that? I'll start with this, JDUB.
Well, I was familiar with Twitch through the Ellen Show when I used to watch it. I had no idea that he was actually, let's say, a TikToker or a professional dancer. I just thought he had a lot of energy and loved to party because he's a DJ. However, when I saw that, it just made me it. I felt that saying that they say that depression has many faces, and just because someone is dancing or happy, a lot of times people are walking around with all types of faces and you don't really know. And it's such a difficult situation, because if you just on the outside looking in and see this guy, you would say, oh, he's happy. He's with his wife. He's with his family. Looks like he's just having a great life. And from the situation, I did learn that he did take a huge loss in the crypto market. I don't know if that was a part of it or what was going on, where he's having marital troubles, but um, I would say it's alarming, because again, I would think that when someone unalives themselves, it looks like sad and dismal and down, and but like you would think, how would you ever know? What would you see? What would I wouldn't walk up to Twitch if I knew him and say, "Are you okay?" Looks like he's having the time of his life. So that was very confusing for me. But I understand, like, when if you have an opportunity to come in contact with people, just make it meaningful. Like, really listen, feel them, and not just say like hello and keep on going or passing by. Just try to connect with the person, and maybe you can pick up some signs. So that's what I
That's true. That's true.
Mhm.
Christopher, what are your thoughts? Or what were your
Um,
thoughts?
I'm like the same, as J Dub said. I was more familiar with him from his dancing because um, my stepdaughter, she was into the dance routines, and I think he was hosting a dance show a couple of years, or he was a judge. So I was familiar with him, but it's one of those things. What really hit me with him is, I don't know if y'all familiar with the song Smokey Robinson, "The Tears of the Clown,"
Yeah.
and you see happy, vibrant people, and you think, oh man, what's his name, Heath Ledger, a couple of years back, people that are on top of their careers, their respective fields, and next thing you know, they're gone. And now, not only is it their family that is hurt as well, but our fans, their fans are. We're all like, okay, what's going on? We're all confused, wondering. So it affects everybody. So when with him, as I was, looking at his story, looking at his TikTok, I'm like, everything seemed to be going right for him as far as we can tell. And what you just said, as far as if you are in contact with people, especially around the holiday season, as we kind of get into the new year type thing, like you said, man, if you do reach out and communicate with somebody, don't just be like, hey, what's going on? Hey, you good, man? Is you straight? Especially, Black men one to another. Like you were talking about the barbershop. Hey, bro, you good? What's happening? You straight? What's going on with you? Really make it a meaningful connection, not just a, hey, what's happening, and keep it moving.
Mhm.
Right. Very true. Very true. Alex, what are your thoughts?
You know, I'm coming from a little bit of different perspective because I'm in the entertainment business. I'm a filmmaker, film writer. I do that kind of thing. So anytime I see a death coming out of Hollywood, I always look at it with a side eye, because that's the main thing. They see the stuff that go on behind the scenes sometimes, the things that these people agree to do just to become stars or just to get on TV.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are into that soul selling. And although you may agree to do certain things to gain this wealth or notoriety, once you have it and it becomes the norm, then you can no longer live with yourself about what you did to get it. You know, you can no longer live with it. So you start self-medicating, you start drinking and drugging and doing different kind of things because your soul is in pain. You're in agony on the inside. To us on the outside, we get, hey, he got it all, you know, big house, family, kids, they driving nice cars and so forth. But when you can't live with yourself because your soul is gone, because some stuff you did, you allowed yourself to be violated for a few dollars or for a movie deal or a record deal or something like that, that's difficult to live with after a while. Okay. The other thing is depression is really, really real. I first started battling depression in 1979, believe it or not. I didn't even know what it was. I just thought I was sad, you know, and as the years went on and I became an adult and got married and started having children, I was like, wait, that's what it's called, depression? I didn't know, you know. So when I started to figure that out and understand what it was, I'm like, well, how do I deal with this thing? Because when you're a guy like Twitch, and God rest his soul, when you in this spotlight, because I wasn't very familiar with him other than Ellen, like JDUB was saying. Okay, I watched Ellen off and on. I seen him there. He was like her hype man or whatever. I ain't even know about the dancing background. Okay, but when you're in this industry, everybody else around you, they're making a bunch of money, they're going to parties, and you find yourself trying to keep up, even though you're not in that tax bracket. Okay, and when you start doing that, trying to keep up and do things and so forth, and you can't, and you got a spouse that you told, I'm gonna give you a certain kind of lifestyle and we're gonna have this, that, and the third, and you find yourself failing, very demeaning, and you have to look at them every day and look at your kids every day, knowing you're failing them. And this is behind the scenes, obviously, in their own home. So those things are possibilities enough to drive you to SI yourself. So there's a lot of variables there. We don't really know. I just know that I'll close it with this. To me, SIing, although people do it, to me, it can be sort of a selfish act because that's all about you at that point.
Yeah.
From what I understand, Twitch's grandfather is still alive. His parents are still alive. He has children. He had a wife. So you don't care about how they're going to feel, the kind of void you're leaving. Trust me, Sonya, JDUB, Chris, there's been so many times in my life where I wanted out of here. I wanted out of here. Okay. I don't need this, you know, but I thought about my children. I thought about my wife at the time. I thought about my siblings. And I'm like, what am I going to do to them if I get myself out of here? This pain will pass. As the saying goes, this too shall pass.
Right.
But people get caught in the initial moment of the pain, and it's so agonizing that they can't take it. They want the pain to stop. They don't necessarily want to die. That's the trick. They want the pain to stop. And that's the only way they see the pain stopping, because they don't believe it's going to pass, and it will pass.
Well, thank you for saying that it will pass. And I hope someone, if anyone needs that message, that you understand that, because you do leave a void for your family and your children. And that's something like being in the medical field. I see the other side of that, but I also see the person when they're there and the family hasn't come to visit yet, and they've come in, and just that despair, that hopelessness, that helplessness, those feelings of just being so lost. And some people really don't feel, they feel like they're a burden to their family. And I just want you to know that if your family loves you, the people that you choose to be in your life, your friends, they love you and they want you here. And like Alex says, yeah, this too shall pass. And then there's always ways to seek help. So I want to add this to the stream real quickly. This is Black boys and Black men and SI, and this is presented by Dr. Patricia Douglas. She is a licensed therapist, and she did a whole study. I don't have her whole PowerPoint presentation, but I wanted to talk about some of these statistics because it kind of speaks to it. When you say, Alex, that a lot of people don't know that, they have these feelings. She said in 2014, 80% of the in our community were our men. And I'm gonna say this, as a Black woman, I'm a woman from infinity to infinity, and I love everything about being a woman. I love my Black men. I love y'all, and we need y'all here, and we need y'all healthy. And so if you need help, get help. You know what I'm saying? But what I wanted to say is these were some of the things that some of the risk factors that a lot of people don't know that comes along with it: PTSD, depression, anxiety. And depression looks like different things from different people. But when we talk about our community in particular, we're talking about racism. We're talking about childhood trauma that a lot of us don't really know is trauma.
Yes.
A lot of us don't realize that
Man.
we're experiencing
Ooh.
childhood trauma. Like I had a death in the family. We were talking about one person, and people were, he was like, he believed in the old school tough love, right? And so his thing would be to bully everybody. And some people learn to be tough with it, and some people didn't so much. And some people have low self-esteem and a lot of scars from there, right? So it's good to check in and see how you feel about certain things. But another thing that we deal with is survivor's guilt. A lot of people feel bad about not making. This is a big one in our community. We don't want to let some people go who are not ready to move on with life, right? Like, you can't take everybody with you. You can't fix everybody's problem. You can't, you know what I mean? So you have to understand that we all have our purpose and we all have our journey. You can do some things to a point, but sometimes we sacrifice ourselves trying to help other people move forward, and we got to be careful. It's okay that you did the work, that you survived, that you moved on, that you're doing what you're doing. It's okay. You have to be okay with that, and don't feel like you have to go back and save everybody. Pour into your community and the people that you love, yes, but I'm sorry, excuse me, you can't save everybody. I kind of went on a soapbox, but does anybody want to add anything to that?
I mean, the worst thing you can do as a depressed person is to isolate yourself, because that empowers the depression. We always think that we're the only one dealing with this. There's a shame attached to it. We gotta detach the shame. Take the shame off of it and understand that there are other people dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with. You just have to reach out to them and connect to them, because that's what will save your life. Because, quick story about me, I'm pretty much an open book. So when my second wife passed away, left our 10-year-old daughter. I'm raising her alone. She's 12 now. So this just happened 2 years ago. So before her passing, we were separated. So I mourned that period. Then she became ill. So I'm praying for her health, her well-being. I'm still praying that our marriage get restored, so forth. Then the divorce became final. So now I'm mourning the divorce. My family is definitely broken up. Then she passes. So now I'm devastated. I'm shattered at this point. And I look at my child every day who looks like her mother, and it's like I'm devastated all over again. It took time for me to come to grips with that. And a mistake that I made in that part of my life, I started dating because I wanted to feel good about something. And so me dating was the wrong reason to get back into dating. I was using the women so I could feel good about something. So somebody could hug me and touch me and tell me they love me or tell me I was special. And my mind just wasn't there. My body was there. My mind wasn't. So, but what I didn't do, I did not isolate myself. I talked to my family. I talked to my siblings. I spoke to people about it. They did check on me. Nobody can check on you 24/7. Sometimes you just got to crawl up in the ball and cry it out.
Mhm.
Nobody going to check on you 24/7. So you got to dig down deep sometime within your own soul, your own spirit, and say to yourself, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. You got to find that somewhere.
Mhm.
I agree with that, Alex. However, one of the issues that I've personally dealt with is kind of touches on what you just said. Don't isolate yourself. But if you feel as you're going through your depression that you're actually a burden on other people, that's when the thoughts of unaliving yourself come into play, because now you feel, hell, they'd be better off without me, even though, like we just discussed, as far as how integral we are in other people's lives, that we are important. There are times when you feel like, especially like what you were saying about Hollywood, or you're not performing, or you're not doing certain things, you're not making the type of money, you're not supporting your family, whatever the case may be. You then feel like you're a burden, and then you're like, if this burden isn't in their lives, they'll actually be able to move on. And kind of on that list, one of the things that touched me as well was childhood trauma.
Mhm.
I literally had a therapy appointment on Friday, and dealing with stuff that happened to me as a kid back in Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? So it's like stuff, you know,
Yeah, man.
when you move to another country, there are cultural things. So now you're adjusting. It's so much stuff that if you don't deal with your childhood stuff, like you just said, Alex, you then start using people as there as to soothe your pain. So now, not only that you can't have somebody doing that, so now you're ruining somebody else's life, and you're still in pain, but now your pain is now kind of like in the movie I just went to the next person. Is similar. So that when I saw that on that list, Sonya, I was like, shit, yeah, that
You
one
know,
hit.
Chris, hurting people hurt people.
Yeah, man.
I learned that in my own life as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's JDUB. I want to get your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I did just want to add a note that Twitch actually, he was, let's say his job was being canceled with Ellen. She had some type of workers dispute in which she was behaving. So she of 19 years, he was losing his job with Ellen. So that also could be a factor, along with him losing a large sum of assets due to like the Bitcoin or whatever. So that could be compounded. I'm not sure the reason. But just listen to Alex. I was shocked to hear Alex, like you said that you've been dealing with depression for, let's say, over 40 years, but it almost sounds like you got the depression beat. Because I mean, I have no understanding of depression, but what I've heard is that like someone feels like there's no hope, they can't see their way out. You've actually worked everything out and gave reasons why you should continue and go on. It sounds like if everybody had that outlook, depression would be beat. So I'm shocked to hear it. Maybe it's for your amount of experience, but I've
Yeah.
talked to depressed people and actually had recently, less than a year ago, one of my cousins unalived himself and didn't know why. So it
My
almost sounds
condolences.
like you're speaking from a person who may not understand, but you definitely have all the answers. When I say like, how could you do this? You have so many
Yeah.
people. When they get, I've noticed when they get in a dark place, they can't see anything else but that darkness.
Right.
And
Yeah.
there's nothing there. There's no my children, my job. I'm an important person in the community. They don't care about or feel anything. They're focused on their pain.
And JDUB, I appreciate you saying that, brother. Because it's a lot of work. At this point in my life, it's sort of a self-contained mechanism. And like Chris was saying, when you feel like you're putting a burden on other people, you keep calling people and calling people and call. After a while, listen, everybody's dealing with their own junk. They're going to start avoiding your phone calls. Okay, they're going to see your number on the ID. They're not going to answer it. They're going to click ignore. They're going to keep doing that because now you're becoming a burden, as Chris was saying. So you're going to end up being isolated if you continue to bother people. So somewhere deep down inside, you're going to have to say to yourself, I'm worth it, and find something. Be intentional about finding something joyful. Go look at your grandkids. Go look at your children. Find something intentional that you can smile about just for that day. I had a friend tell me once, just give me another 24 hours, Alex. Just give me 24. Because I'm looking all the way, I'm looking 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road. Who knows if we're going to be here? Right. Just give me 24 hours. You know, if you get through 24 hours, then we'll work on the next 72 hours, the next 2 weeks, and so forth. But get me through 24, you know, and that's
Alex,
every day.
Alex, I will say this though. What you just said, we're not burdens. The thing is, how in JDUB, you know, you said it yourself. You're like, man, what happened? You know, we feel like we're a burden, so we don't make the calls, or at least that's been my experience. Because it's like, damn, I don't want to call this person, and you know, now I'm bringing them down. So let me just not make the call at all. Whereas my friends, they want me to call. Chris, what's happening with you? Talk to me. So we feel like we're a burden, but in reality, we're not. And therefore, we don't make the call. We don't reach out. We don't, you know, in fact, sometimes we'd rather take a call of somebody going through something as opposed to making the call to someone and then talking it out with a friend. So instead, we bottle it up inside, and sooner or later, that pressure's got to go somewhere. You know, they say, you know, pressure bursts pipes. Yeah. And that's when you make harsh decisions that you can't come back from. And now those same friends, that same family that was actually there for you, that would have picked up the call, that would have said, okay, yo, talk to me. In fact, let me stop what I'm doing so I can be there for you. We don't give them that opportunity because we feel like we'll be burdening them instead of literally using them to unburden what's with us, because it'll help them. You know what they say, it's better to give than receive. That goes with emotional health too when it comes to our friendships.
Yeah, it's important to have a circle that you can count on. But so this is my question, piggybacking off of that, because I understand both sides. I understand you feeling like you don't want to be a burden. And then I understand you feeling like, I don't know. And again, that goes back to shame. That goes back to anxiety. That goes back to not even really knowing what's going on with yourself. Like Chris, you just said, hey, I had trauma from my childhood that I didn't even recognize, right? We don't always know what we're holding on to. I did a video not too long ago, and I stated that our brains and our minds protect us intentionally, and sometimes we don't know, and sometimes it's a cultural thing. That's just what we do. You know, that's what we love to say in our community. That's just what we do. That's how we do, and we don't realize the damage that's being done. You know, what we're holding on, our body holds on to a lot. So what I know in the past, we didn't talk about mental health and you didn't go to a professional. And I know our history with the medical field. So with all that in consideration, knowing that there are more men of color, like there's a man on, what's his name? Kier Gaines. He's a Black therapist. He's a Black man. He grew up, you know, in the hood, and he turned his life around. And now he helps a lot of people. What do you think? What makes you say I'm not gonna reach out for professional help? Is it just the past? Is it not knowing? Like, what are the reasons do you guys think that people may not seek help if you feel like I can't talk to my family or friends?
Yeah, and let me just say for JDUB, my condolences to you, brother. Thank you. I definitely, my heart definitely goes out to you and your family for your loss. You know, Sonya, that's a tough thing sometimes, because we're taught as men to carry the world on our shoulders. You know, we hear things growing up like, you know, don't cry, man up, be a man, you know, this and that. You gotta be strong and this and that. So we never get a chance to get in touch with our emotions, because everything is about manning up and brute power and strength and all this stuff. Right. And the problem with always being strong is that no one ever checks on you. So many times in my own life with my own family, I was going through traumatic situations. You know what they thought? Who, Alex? Oh, he good, man. He good. That's what they think, because I've always gone through it and survived and came out the other side. So they never saw me on the floor with my face in the floor, crying and balled up in a ball and all. They didn't see that stuff. They just figure I'm okay. So going to get therapy a lot of times to us, not to me anymore, I'm too mature for that, but younger, it's seen as a weakness. I'm going to somebody to help me with my problem. I'm supposed to be able to figure it out. Society tells me I have to figure it out. I'm the man. I got to do this. And they pound that in your skull your entire life. So now you're going to be vulnerable and say, I'm going to somebody for help, particularly another man. If you got a male therapist, I'm going to another man for help. If it's a woman therapist, it's like you're going to cry to your mama. So you resent that. So you don't want to go. So you try to deal with it on your own. We got to take the shame off it, as I said before. Once you remove the shame and say, there are a lot of people that look like me dealing with this, you can walk into therapy and get the help you need without that shame attached to it.
Okay. Go ahead, Chris.
I can think of two reasons why. What Alex just said is a part of that. But for me, there are two reasons that, as far as I can see. One is it can be cost restrictive for some, because you and I know it's not one, it's not two. It could be multiple, years of therapy, and that can add up. Not just the cost of the therapy itself, but also for you to go to therapy, that means you're not working, or you're, it could be a cost situation. Then also, if your therapist doesn't work for you, you have to be able to say, okay, let me go find another one. And then you might have to start the process over again and retell your story. All right, you're not working either. I went through the therapist that I've been going to now, he works for me because he's not one of those, how can I say, he's not a touchy-feely guy. So Chris, tell me your feelings. He's like, no, he works the way I think, which is that rational, where I'm literally talking through my issues, not on an emotional level, but I'm understanding my emotions through a rational lens. I had to go through other therapists in order to get to that point. So what could have happened is I'm like, all right, the hell with this. This therapist ain't working. And then say therapy as a whole doesn't work, as opposed to saying this therapist isn't working, let me go find another therapist. You know what? This second therapist doesn't necessarily work for me. Let me go to this third one. Holy shit, that's the one for me. And sometimes that process can be tough because, like Alex said, you feel like, all right, man, it's not working because I'm weak or whatever the case may be. And that can prevent you from getting the help that you need.
Is it cost effective? Like you were saying, Chris, it can be very expensive. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about some dudes won't even go to the doctor. All right, it'll heal. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah.
I mean,
it'll be all right.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
Put some tussin on it.
Right. Just rub some dirt on it and keep it moving. But yeah,
I
drink
get
some Gatorade. I mean, drink some what do they call it? Some
no, like Sonya was saying, put some tussin on it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Drink some ginger ale.
Ginger ale, that is the cure all for everything. Is JDUBs, what do you have to say, kind sir?
I would say the biggest part I believe is the not normalizing what I guess reaching out for help in therapy looks like. And I mean, and that just shouldn't go with like your peers. That should go to your children. You should talk to them and say, hey, there's some things that I experienced when I was your age that I have to kind of work through so I can be a better person and a better parent to you as well. So also that can open up an avenue for your child to say, hey, you're not alone. And I want to help you through your struggles, because like from the eyes of children, they think what they're going through right now is the end all be all. They think they'll be in the 7th grade for the rest of their life, or that's all they see. So if they're dealing with something right now, that's it. So we just have to really normalize and make it an open forum with everyone, and not have like a shameful stigma on it. Just saying like, hey, I encourage everyone to go get help. I believe everybody can benefit from therapy in some form of fashion, because trauma runs rampant through us historically, from the days of slavery up until now, all we have gone through. And unfortunately, some of those ways of thinking are still with us today. So we definitely have a whole lot to clean up. So I just think we can break the cycle and just normalize it and just make everything help basis. If you don't feel comfortable going to therapy, find someone who can support you, not really to be your therapist, but that you trust. And that may be a start, but this has to become a part of our culture. Like we encourage people to go to the gym or eat healthy. It should be the same thing. It's just as important. It's probably the most important thing, because without the mind, all that other stuff don't even matter.
You are
Yes, sir.
absolutely right. And you didn't
Yes,
said a
sir.
word. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so I want to, for a minute, thank everyone that's here. Thank you guys for your kind words and your support and your condolences to Christopher and his JDUB and to Alex. Like, you guys are great. Thank you for supporting them while they be this transparent on this platform. I appreciate you. And then I want to say, speaking to your point about our trauma and how we've been conditioned, I think we don't talk enough about that either. We don't talk about our conditioning. One of the reasons a lot of our men don't say things, or a lot of women who may know something is going on with their mate or with a guy or a male and they won't say anything, is once upon a time, if you said anything about, if you uplifted someone, if you encouraged someone in your family, that was a bad thing, because once the others found out, that led to them seeking you out, because they had to keep you humble. One of the reasons why I never use the term humble, I am not humble. I'm a very kind, loving, sweet person, but I am who I am. I'm beautiful and I'm wonderful and I own all of that. I'm not going to be humbled in that way, but it doesn't mean I have to push someone down to lift myself up. You know what I mean? But we've been taught to shrink ourselves and not think of ourselves. Y'all know I call myself the self-love advocate, and I really advocate for you as an individual getting to know who you are, loving who you are, and trusting yourself. And I think that's another thing we are taught, that everything has to be from the outside. And if we spend too much time within ourselves or by ourselves, then we're not worthy. And you're worthy, right? You're always worthy. You're here. Your purpose, you have purpose. If you're here, you have purpose and you mean something to someone. And I would encourage people to stop projecting the conversation that you have with yourself and your fears onto others. Meaning, stop feeling like because you feel like no one loves you, that no one loves you, because that's not the truth, right? That if you feel like you're not valuable, you just automatically feel like someone else thinks you're not valuable, and that's not true. You know, a lot of people always see the greatness in you when you don't see the greatness in you. It's just about you getting back to you and understanding your own greatness. And we have to block out people who don't mean us any good, because some people pour negativity into our lives. So we have to get rid of those folks.
All the
Peace to
time.
them. And
You know,
then work on pouring that into yourself. You know what I mean? You are your greatest source. When I was young, I used to hear a lot of men say, your higher self, you got to know your higher self. I never knew what the hell they were talking about, because I grew up in the church. You know, in the church, everything is about God and Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But your higher self is your best self. And you better love on
Yeah.
that. Love on your best
Yeah.
self. So
Yeah, and when I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, I grew up around the 5% nation. I was never a 5%er, but I grew up around the 5% nation, and they will always say, they will preach knowledge of self, you know. And if you don't know yourself, that's where the problem really originates, not knowing yourself, you know. So you got to start there. The hardest thing for people to go back and figure out in their childhood, as Chris was saying, where their trauma began and what their triggers are. Because what was instilled in you at 4 or 5 years old, you 40 now, you're responding that way, whether you know it or not, because you have triggers. You know, if somebody says something to you that's triggering you, they have control over you, period. That's number one. Number two, you got to find out why that's triggering you. Because you, at some point in your life, you got to stop blaming other people and deal with your junk. Well, if you didn't say that, I wouldn't have killed everybody. You know what I mean? But you still didn't have to kill everybody. You could have dealt with the trigger beforehand. Controlling your emotions. The prisons are full of people who could not control their emotions. Split second, 20 years. If they'd have just stepped back for a moment and said, nah, bro, you go ahead with that, they would have been out of prison. They would never went to prison. But because they can't control their emotions, 20, 25 years, life, 10 years, or for a split second. We got to find out what these triggers are and deal with the triggers. Because, you know, quick story real quick about me, because I want to be an open book today. That's why I asked Sonya to do this. When I was younger, okay, girls didn't like me. You know, I used to like girls. I had crushes on girls, and they didn't like me. Not only did they didn't like me, they would tease me and call me names, okay? Kindness goes a long way. And when people are not kind to you, you carry that throughout your lifetime if you're not careful, okay? So I developed the attitude and the anger to where I hated women. I hated girls. I hated women. And I carried that. And one day, my own mother, who I love dearly, God rest her soul, I graduated from 6th grade. I had a nice suit on, had my tie on, my hair was cut, everything was good, and a young lady that I had a crush on, I graduated with her, right? So after graduation, my mother's there, her parents are there, we're all talking, and my mother's coworker walked up and said, "Oh, you guys graduated today. That's so nice." And then he looked at me and said, "Hey, Betty," because my mother's name was Betty. Hey, Betty, I think he's the best looking boy out of all your kids. I got 2 brothers at that time. And I think he's the best looking out of all your children. And my mother, I know she didn't understand what she was doing, but at that moment, she waved her hand and said, "No, it's Ricky." That destroyed me, because there's an old saying that when somebody is so ugly, they say, "That's a face only a mother could love." That's a very old saying, right? So in that moment, I'm going, I'm so ugly. My own mother don't love my face. Okay. So that traumatized me. So I went through my early teens, hating women. I just hated them. So I could have easily became a serial offender. I could have been somebody who committed the R word on a regular basis, but thankfully I didn't do none of that kind of stuff. But the women who I got involved with, as I started to evolve, I became halfway decent looking. Women became attracted to me. Every woman I ever got, I dogged them because I did not like, they were good physically. I got what I wanted physically, but then you got to get out of my house. Next. And what I was doing was disguising pain. Yeah. Because the women that I truly loved, that I would give my life for, I was cheating on them, and then it turned around. They get tired of you and they find them or somebody else. Now you devastated. So you don't hurt yourself again. This time you did it to yourself because you had somebody that had your back. You had somebody who had your children, who loved you unconditionally. But because you had triggers and trauma you hadn't dealt with, you ran them off. And now you're mad again. So what do you do in that situation?
You have to go back to basics. And I'm so happy you told that story. And thank you so much for being honest about that. A lot of men aren't honest about that. A lot of men are honest about the fact that the reason why they mistreat women is because of, being tased, or some of the things they may have seen their mothers do. Alex and I, we talk a lot about the crack era. And we all know during that time, a lot of women did a lot because of that addiction. And that could be that's a whole nother episode. That's a lot, but
a
lot of people, did a lot. A lot of sons saw their mom do a lot, heard about the things that their mom did. Like in my neighborhood, it was bad. Okay. And they lost respect for women and they lost respect for their mom, and they felt like they weren't being protected, and they felt like she chose the wrong one and she chose somebody who wasn't there for me. And then there's the male gaze component where, because there's no father around, or there wasn't a father around, or a positive male figure, there's that. And then they're angry again. And it is taken out on women. And I hate to say it, but most of the red pill community come from that mindset and those experiences, I would say. I'm not, I don't know them personally. So thank you for sharing that. Do you have any thoughts on that, Chris or JDUB, about what Alex said?
You go ahead.
No, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, I could definitely understand what Alex is saying about, because when you observe your mother in life, that's the example of what a woman is. So once you go forward through life, you had a negative experience with your mother, most likely you're going to have a negative experience with other women, and you're pretty much typecasting everyone in that segment, like, oh, you don't care about me, or you don't think anything of me. And was something Alex spoke on that's huge about, I guess, like the prison population, or people who are not alive anymore, comes from someone being emotional. And then that ties in that a lot of men have not seen how a man handles things. Sometimes they watch their mother who's extremely emotional. Not that all women are emotional, but that's a lot of times of what they see. But it's just different. They're a man or a boy, and they have man consequences for their actions. It's just not hollering at someone. You're destroying your life or destroying someone else's life because you got mad and had a interaction within seconds that changed your whole life. So we have so much going on as a community. Like it's going to take a lot, and we got to just attack it where we can. But that is huge. A lot of people, men and women, don't know how to control their emotions, especially at this day and age, you will change your life drastically and not for the better.
Man, JDUB, I was going to touch on that too. Literally, my therapy appointment on Friday, we spoke about the difference between reacting and responding. A response is something that's thought out. It's something that it's not an emotional process. You think about, how do I go about doing this? You think things through, whereas a reaction is instinctive. It's a reflex. And like you said, there are people that are no longer here because they just reacted to something. And there is nothing more dangerous than an emotional man, because that's a man that's not in touch with his emotions. So if you have a man that's already a powerful being and he just is going off of his emotions, not only that is a dangerous situation. And that's something that as men, we need to be able to respond to situations, because life is going to life. And if you just react to life, not only are you just going to be slapped around with whatever situations come up, when you start then lashing out, kind of like what you were saying, Alex, where now what we then start doing is, all right, I'm going to hurt you, be it emotionally, I'm going to treat you bad or whatever the case may be, before you inevitably hurt me. So I'm going to do whatever I can to protect myself. My defense mechanism is to treat a woman like, whatever. I'm just going to use her, take advantage of her, because I know she's going to hurt me, because every other woman has. And that goes back to what you were saying earlier, JDUB, as well, as far as the trauma, when you were saying things that from, not childhood, but you're saying like things, I think you said the situations in our past, like going all the way back to say slavery, something like that. We're still dealing with those things. Not only that, from a generational standpoint, where we see our parents or our mothers specifically doing certain things, it ends up putting men in spaces where it's just not healthy for us or our environment around us.
Right. One of the reasons why I encourage some of the ladies I know not to tell their sons, speaking of what you said, Chris, that they are the big boy and they are in charge, is because I feel like you put a burden on him that he's not yet ready for, and isn't his. It isn't his job to protect the whole house. It isn't his. He's 9 years old. He's still trying to, you know what I mean? At this point, he is under your stewardship.
Stop crying, boy.
Right.
I'm 9.
Exactly. You can cry. There is a video. I'm gonna see if I can bring this in here. Oh, I didn't even think about this one. I'm gonna try to add it. Where a father was like showing his daughter how to advocate for herself. I didn't think about this video, but I'm going to add it. I'm going to try to add it. But my next question is, what do you guys think can help? You have offered some tips. And how, from a man's standpoint, and then I'll give my perspective from my standpoint, but from a man's standpoint, what do you think we can do as women and as a community to help us start doing the work on these concerns and these issues we have?
I would start off by saying just to not more so partner instead of like parenting. You don't need another mother, but you need someone that you know who has your back, who's right there down with you, and however or whenever you need me, I'm there. Because a lot of times, and that's the craziest thing, I see in the comments where it says like men also learn how to treat women by their peer group, because again that also goes back to having a man to show you or to instruct you or to teach you or what's going on, so you can learn from anywhere. So the point is that you just it's just a thing where
Comfortable.
you need to have that support. You need to know that you're loved. And also, I was just saying, we all do, if we all can do our self work, we need to find people who we align with, who that we're in agreement with, people who we connect with, and know that we're benefiting one another, not just getting together for trauma for time being. Because like a lot of times people give or put people in very important spaces who they already know aren't deserving people. So that is hugely important. It's like men and women picking the right partner or surround yourself with the right person that can do that. But especially if a man has that, like in real life, and knowing at my older age, a woman, your best friend will be your wife or your significant other. There'll be no guy who could have your back or who will love you or be there for you like that woman. I mean, she'll even be and go to lengths to be there just like as your mother or even more, but in a different way because she holds different capacity. So, you know,
Mm.
to have a woman that's with you is priceless. You couldn't put a number on it. You know,
You better
nothing better
say
than
that
that.
thing.
Yeah,
Say it, JDUB. That's right.
yeah.
You take care.
And you know, yeah, well, yeah, power to the people. you know, the thing is, what JDUB is saying is excellent, because that's what kept me. What he just said is what kept me from going straight left and doing irreparable damage to a lot of women, taking them off the planet, assaulting them. The women in my life, because I was raised by women. The men were running the street, gambling, chasing skirts, doing all that stuff. Okay.
Mhm.
It was the women making sure our clothes were clean. We had home cooked meals. We were disciplined. What is it? As far as I was concerned, my grandmother walked on water. Okay. As far as I was concerned, my aunts and my mothers and them were right behind her with that. So I saw this good segment of women, but then I saw the women in my neighborhood who were teasing and being cruel. And so I was conflicted. But I think the fact that when I thought about my grandmother, when I thought about my mother and my aunts and how much they sacrificed and did, that kept me from going straight left when it came to women. Now, I did my dirt as far as cheating and name calling women and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't go straight left, because I wouldn't even be sitting here with you guys today. So what he said was very powerful. And also what Chris said, I had to learn how to be proactive and not reactive. Okay. And what that means is, once you find out what your triggers are, okay, you're no longer reactive, because find out what your triggers are, that's being proactive. So nobody can sit up there and say to you, you're sitting there having an argument, and typically, 30 years ago, somebody said your mother was a hoe, you're ready to kill them.
Yeah.
But now somebody go, your mother's a hoe. You're like, man, get out of here with that. I'm not going to jail because you said my mother's a hoe. But
Right.
20 years ago, 30 years ago, I may have. You know what I mean? So learn what the triggers are, be proactive and not reactive. But I thank JDUB for bringing that up, because as difficult as girls were for me growing up in my life, I had those positive women who were strong and made sure I got my behind whipped, made sure I took a bath, made sure we ate well, or made sure we did our schoolwork, So yeah, it was a good balance there for me.
And I want to grab something what Alex said real quick. When he's definitely using that word triggers, because most of us have triggers in some way. And I heard a saying somewhere, I don't remember, but it hit me very powerfully. And I was told, like, to take the sting out of triggers are your own. So you need to recognize that, devalue them, and be in control of your emotions. I mean, you'd be surprised how this world would change, because I heard Alex say, "Oh well, you said this and it made me do this." No, that should never
Right.
be the case. Now, if you
Never.
wanted to do that, that's another thing. But no matter what nobody says about you, they don't own you. They don't control you. You're in control.
Right.
So if you know that a person that's coming to destroy or hurt you, they can't affect you. So, hey, I know myself. Just because you said don't make it true, and I'm not going to
Right.
throw my life away because of it or take yours. You know,
Right. Yeah, I saw a meme the other day, JDUB. The meme said, handle your triggers it's not the world's problem to tiptoe around you. You know,
Right.
everybody's not going to tiptoe around you because you got triggers. We don't even know what your triggers are. You have to know what those triggers are, and you got to do the work. And the work is hard, and that's what people don't want to do. People want to just say, "This is me." You know what I'm saying? I am who I am. You know, accept me. You know, love me or leave me. You know, because the work is so hard. You know.
Yep. Christopher.
Sure. I think that for me, it's two things. One, you have to improve yourself. Like, a friend of mine turned me on to the book, The Four Agreements. And the second agreement is don't take anything personally. Going back to what Alex said earlier, you know, somebody said, man, your mama's a hoe. The only way you would react to that is if what you're taking that person is saying to be true. Your mama is a hoe. Okay, now I got to fight you because, you know, but if you know that it's not, you're just gonna be like, I ain't taking that person. Like you said, yeah, I'm good. You don't go about your business. Also, one of the things that you had said something earlier, and I thought about a meme. It's like that's what but what it was, black people. This is what the meme said. Black people are the only people that will roast each other for doing something positive. And it is like, man, look at this dude eating salad for lunch. What you trying to be all healthy? And what we have to do is give each other grace in order to grow emotionally. If you see, you know, another man who is going to therapy or trying to do something to be, I think, like the comment just said, be emotionally healthy, you have to encourage that instead of dragging that person down. Even if it's just a joke, even if it's whatever, if we as men give each other grace to grow, to improve, to break those shackles, then we're going to be able to bring not just our immediate circle of friends, our circle of influence, but the community as a whole. So we got to give each other grace. That, to me, if we start doing that, and like Alex said, you know, as far as I think you said the 5%er, if we're improving and growing and working, and in the process, giving another man grace, because we don't know where he came from, what his triggers may be, whatever the case may be. If we're all not working together to grow and improve, we're not going to see the kind of progress that we need on an emotional level.
And I would like to add, not just grace, but mutual respect. Let's just talk about respect. I love what you said, Christopher. Let's talk about, and Alex and JDUB, like y'all are killing it tonight. I don't need to do anything. I'm just here in my corner. You guys are killing it. But respect, and I don't know. I know we were taught growing up that respect is earned and not given, but I am a strong believer, and this came through my own healing journey, because I used to believe that too, that respect comes from you respecting yourself. I respect myself, so I'm going to respect you. And if you can't respect yourself, I'm still going to respect you. I may remove myself from your presence. I'm going to manage how you and I deal with one another. But so for example, if I'm with a woman and she's calling herself a hoe, I'm not going to call her a hoe because she called herself a hoe, right? Because I still respect you, because I see the beauty in you. And I know somewhere along the way, somebody told you that that's what you were, and that if you said it, you were taking your power back from it. But in fact, that's not powerful, right? Your creator created you, and your creator didn't make any mistakes when they made you. So don't ever think that that's why I don't like the N word. I don't like the N word because I feel like, you know, it gives other people permission, and everyone is not in a place and space where they can say, you know what, I'm not going to disrespect you like that. I know right now you're not in a place to love yourself and honor yourself and respect yourself, but I respect you. So I'm just going to do that because that's what I'm supposed to do. The relationship with yourself really does teach you how to treat other people. And that's why, again, I'm going to go back to always loving yourself, getting to know yourself, tapping into who you are as a person, because how we treat each other really is really how we feel about ourselves.
Oh my God!
Respect is everything.
Something there, boy. Man,
go ahead, Chris. Do it.
Boy. When you man,
that's what she do. That's what it is. That's why I'm here. Every time I hear Sonya speak, she tells me
Yes,
something, or I hear something
Lord.
that I have not heard that I could grab on and hold on to and keep with me, and I can pass it on to somebody else.
Thank
Man,
you.
That's
Thank
real.
you.
it's amazing the kind of relationships that you will get into because you don't feel that you are worthy of something better. You don't have enough self-respect to be like, yeah, I ain't about to hang with them knuckleheads over there because I'm gonna get caught up in some nonsense because if they don't give a damn about themselves, then whatever. Or yeah, you know what? Let me go and just be with that woman because I don't deserve someone that's going to treat me a certain way.
Yeah.
It's like the kind of relationships you will end up in because you don't have that self-respect or feel you're worthy. Man, that is boy. Whew,
I'm
I'm
telling you.
crying in the car.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm,
telling you.
well, I'm glad
It's
you said
okay.
that, Christopher,
It's all right.
because Sonya hit the note where it says that I won't dim myself down.
Mhm.
I am my higher self, and I'm important, and I deserve these things. So yeah,
Yes,
if you're
sir.
used to shrinking yourself, you won't think that you deserve someone to respect you or treat you well.
Mhm.
If you're taught always to be, and I guess we're using that word humble. So if you don't feel
Mhm.
like you deserving, people can do anything you want. You wouldn't feel like it's out of the norm. It's like, well, I'm nobody anyway. So yeah, why couldn't they talk to me or treat me that way? I'm not
Right.
deserving of it. So
Right.
yeah.
and that happens far too often. Far
Far
too
Yes,
too
often.
often.
it does.
You don't have to be where you came from.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people confuse that with I'm keeping it real. I'm being real. No, you can change. I'm from the dirt of the dirt. Okay. I grew up in the hood, product of welfare, hungry,
Mhm.
candy for dinner. One time I drank water for dinner. Try that sometimes. Okay.
Mhm.
So, just not good. But
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted something different. And through all the struggles and strife, okay, my parents, everybody that passed in my previous generation left us with nothing. They didn't teach us about fiscal responsibility. They wanted to party, drink, drug, have sex all over the place. This is what I grew up around. So although
Mhm.
it looked nice, it looked like fun, we didn't have nothing. So when they passed away, no life insurance, no nothing, no house. So what am I doing today? I'm a homeowner today. I own stocks. I own life insurances. I own bonds. I own crypto. I own all this stuff because I had to go and teach myself fiscal responsibility that I could leave to my children and grandchildren. Somebody has to stop the cycle. And I decided in my family, I would stop that cycle. I'm going to leave these people something. I'm not going to do what the previous generation did to us.
I like what you said earlier, Sonya. For real, when you don't have to dim your light just to make somebody else shine. And I think that once you embrace that, all of us are powerful beings in our own way, and you don't have to turn your power down just to make somebody else. And man, you and JDUB, y'all definitely with that one right there. That is, boy, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That is
Because
so
we do it all
powerful.
the time. That's why
We
that's why
do.
what Sonya said is so
Yep.
powerful. Because we do that all the
Yeah.
time.
And we call it
You know,
humility,
it,
but
it, it,
yeah, and it's really
It is.
not.
in
It's
layman's
all
terms, we
conditioning.
dumb ourselves down.
Yeah.
It's conditioning. We have been
Yep.
conditioned not to be too big for our britches. My family's from the South.
Being uppity.
Don't be uppity. Don't be too.
Yep.
I remember, so
Talking.
I'm
Yeah.
the second person that went to college, and I remember one of my family members telling me, you're too preppy. You think you're too good. You think you're too much. You know what I mean? And that's what I say about being mindful about what people speak into your life. And we've been
Yeah.
told that pride is a bad word. Pride isn't about the definition of pride. If you look at the definition of pride, it is not a bad word. It's you acknowledging who you are and your greatness. That's not bad. It's not bad to be pride. Now, when you're too prideful, it's the ego that's the problem. It's your
Right.
ego. When you start feeding that ego, that's where the issue comes in. But you standing in your greatness is a beautiful thing, and that is what you're supposed to do. But we in our
Yeah.
culture have been taught not to, because if, for one, within our community at a certain point in time, if we thought that of ourselves, then again, that could lead to death, that could lead to your child being taken. And now it's just morphed into something that's infectious, something that's toxic that we all do and say to one another. But one of the reasons I want to use my platform to talk about self-love is I want you to know that you don't have to do that. It doesn't mean that you feel like you are going to tear another person down to get ahead, but it doesn't mean that you can't walk in your own beauty and greatness either. So I'm going to always encourage self-love. I'm going to always encourage you to be the best version of yourself that you can be, and to, give yourself permission to be your best self, to go ahead and heal. Like when Alex was saying how your mom, what your mom did, we've seen it so many times. Like, don't compliment your son too much, or don't compliment your kids too much. And a lot of women, and I'm saying this because it's true, and because we're talking to the men tonight, and this is the Gentleman's Lounge. A lot of women are afraid to give their men compliments because they don't want their man to think too much of themselves. And what's wrong with him thinking too much of himself, as long as he's a good man for you? So this is where appreciation comes in. Go ahead and acknowledge what he does. I don't care if it's taking out the trash. Baby, thank you for taking out the trash. Baby, thank you for shoveling the snow. Baby, thank you for paying your bills. Baby, thank you for loving me. Thank you for that booty rub. I appreciate it. Because we all know we love a booty rub, ladies. Go on and thank your man for that booty rub. Thank your person for the things that they do, even if it's something you feel like they're supposed to do, because you don't know what he's going through in those moments, and he's maybe giving you all that he has in that second. Like, this last little thing I'm doing for you today is because I love you, and I'm giving you all that I have. Do you men agree with that, or am I just...
Hell yeah! Throughout history,
Absolutely,
man. The words of a woman has made a man run through brick walls. What you talking about? And there are times when you're on your last, and it's like, baby, you got this, man. Please, you just gonna transform it. You'll make it do what it do. So, man, them kind words, those encouraging words from a woman, man. What? Yeah. Oh my God.
Sonya, I'm gonna tell you something. I jumped in front of gunfire for my first wife. She was pregnant with our child. I jumped in front of gunfire. Okay, because I felt that woman had to live. My child had to live. If anybody had to leave here, it would have been me. And she'll tell you that story herself to this day.
Ladies, y'all hear that? So don't listen to all these people say men don't do anything for you, and the man doesn't love you. This man said, I'm gonna take a bullet for mine. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think it was Lorenzo in the comments said that, social media too has really pitted us specifically as a community against each other, and that narrative is. That drip of black men don't protect black women is really started to pick up steam, when in reality, it's just the opposite. My man's talking about jumping in front of bullets. That is more often the case than not.
Right.
Now don't get me wrong. There's a lot of harsh words, a lot of harsh rhetoric, but 9 times out of 10, a black man is going to be there for his black woman. It's the nonsense that's being fed to us that is, will take root and pull us even further apart.
Yeah, unfortunately, pain speaks louder than peace. Yeah. Okay, I know we're running up on an hour. Do you guys have time to review this video with me?
Yeah, I have time.
Okay.
I got time. Absolutely.
And all the ladies said yes, a booty rubs matter. So we just want to let you know. It's more than that. I just thought that'd be cute to throw it. I'm trying to throw a little lightness in here, so we
Sonya. Sonya. If they saying that, send them my email information.
You know what? No, we're not about to.
For research purposes.
No.
Yeah, research purposes.
No, we are talking about in a relationship. Stop it, Alex.
You got to start somewhere.
You got to tell Miss, you got to let her know, okay? Okay, you just say, Miss, the back of my neck hurts, or the water.
Okay, hold on here. I love this guy.
Come on, let's go upstairs.
I thought I edited, but I guess I didn't. Okay, this is where it starts.
So why are you upset?
So for some context, he's going to try to talk to his daughter about something she's crying about.
Because I don't want to get my hair wet. You don't want to get your hair wet? Yeah. What do you not like about getting your hair wet? Because there's the back of my head. It hurts the back of your head? It's so bad. Does it hurt or is it uncomfortable? It hurts and it's uncomfortable. It hurts and it's uncomfortable? Yeah. Okay, show me. Does it hurt right here? What part hurts? Is it the bowl that hurts your hair or is it the water? It's the bowl. It's the bowl? Okay. And the water. And the water? Okay. So this is what we're going to do, okay? If you feel uncomfortable when you get your hair washed, you got to tell Miss... You got to let her know, okay? Okay. Okay, you just say, Miss... The back of my neck hurts. Or the water's too warm. Or the water's too cold. Can you change it, please? And look, if you use your big girl voice and you say that, baby, she'll change it for you so you'll be more comfortable, okay? Okay. Take a deep breath. It's okay. Because we don't like getting our hair wet, but we love having our hair done, right? All right. We got to get our hair wet in order to have it done, okay? Come on, let's go upstairs and put some clothes on. It's okay, baby. I can hold you. Oh. I got you, baby. It's okay. So why are you upset?
That's it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep.
You're
teaching conflict
Sonya.
resolution at an early age. So yeah, that is, yeah.
Sonya's on mute. Somebody got to tell her.
Can you hear?
She's on mute. Sonya.
There you
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, there you
You
go.
saying something, son?
I was going to say I love that so much, and Christopher touched on it. That advocacy, a father advocate. We need you. We need you, and we love you, and we need you to parent us and father. I wouldn't be the woman I am today without the men in my life. Okay, the women played a huge role, but it was men who taught me about men. It was men who loved me. It was men who reminded me of my greatness and my beauty and not to shrink myself. My one uncle, I won't say the things that he says because he's explicit, but he will always just remind me of the power of a woman and not feeling like I have to shrink. But he would let me know with
the
that
power of the
the power of all of it. Our
Right.
voice, like you said earlier, our voice, our touch, our wisdom, our leadership in our own right. You know what I mean? Like a lot of successful men seek guidance from their wives. Like you were saying earlier, Chris, they seek guidance from their wives. They don't. It's not their boys. The boys that say do something stupid 9 times out of 10, unless he has knowledge of it. But in those quiet moments when he goes home, if he has a good woman, it's his woman. You have to pick the right person who's healthy and healed and willing to give of herself in a healthy manner. But yeah, my uncle, when he taught me, he was like, honey. My granddad too. So
Wow. And we got to stop this thing with black women particularly, because without going too deep into it, there's a vested interest in having black men and black women fighting. There's just a vested interest in that. It's another show. Okay. What I want for black women, don't piling on and saying negative things about black men because that's what you've seen in the media, or you might have saw one black dude in your whole life do something, and now you'll say that's what they do, that's how they are, because you saw one of us do it. Okay. Right. The narrative is going to always be these guys don't look out for their women. These guys are lazy. These guys are thugs. These guys are criminals. They're not good fathers. They leave their children. That's going to be the narrative in the general media because we don't control the general media. Don't fall for the okie doke. And a lot of these women, like you, Sonya, had good men in your life. We need to hear about those guys and not the narratives on social media or the news outlets and so forth. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's not to say that there aren't bad men in this world.
Right.
You hold negativity accountable, but you also can't lump everybody in with that. And like you're just saying, Alex, that you start piling on and then that media drip of the same nonsense. You can't do that.
That's very true. We have to be careful of our narrative, and the narrative we put out, and the one that we speak, and take an experience. And this comes from a healed place. When you're in a healed place, you can understand that an experience was an experience, and that person was a person, but that's not everyone. And to be honest, I say this all the time, and I'm gonna be honest. I lose clients when I have this conversation, but the seed is planted. You have to check yourself. Who are you choosing? Who are you picking? And why are you choosing them? And why are you picking them? And it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. A lot of times this place, this person is familiar to us. That unavailable father is familiar. So you pick an unavailable man, right? This is a familiar place, and you have to break the patterns. You gentlemen talked a lot about triggers earlier, and I just wanted you to speak your piece. But when it comes down to triggers, one of the ways you can start your healing process is ask yourself about, why am I triggered by this? Why is this triggering to me? And I'm going to use myself. I'm going to share my story. So although I had all these wonderful men in my life, I didn't have a relationship with my father. My father felt like I didn't, because he and my mom had me before marriage. I didn't fit the mold of the life that he wanted. He wanted to be a married man with a business. He wanted this perfect facade, right? And so I didn't fit that mold. And although I'm close to his brother, that's my uncle with the barbershop, and I'm close to the rest of his family, his side of the family, I don't have a relationship with him. But because I had so many wonderful men in my life, I never thought it was an issue, because I had two granddaddies who I was the apple of their eye. I mean, they took me fishing. I got everything I wanted. They taught me life lessons, And then I had all of my uncles. I had people who protected me and men who really poured into me. But there isn't anything like your dad. I didn't realize it was an issue until one day me and my uncle were in a barbershop, and we were talking about a certain issue with my dad. And I just looked and I said, well, what's wrong with me? Why doesn't he want me? I'll never forget this. And he cried. And I'm not going to cry today because, like I said, I'm a thug. No, I'm just playing. But he was like, it's not that. He couldn't explain to me what my father, he has his own set of issues, and that's fine. I've long forgiven him. But there's still that piece there. And I remember years later, I used to always get so upset. Like if I called you and we talked and you said you were going to call me back and you didn't call me back, I would get ticked off. I had to ask myself, why?
Trigger.
Trigger. What's the source of the trigger? My abandonment issues that I didn't even know existed. I didn't know I had it until I sat down. I had to really sit with myself and say, why? They're not leaving you because they're not calling you back. Half the time I didn't even want to talk to him. It was just the fact that you made a promise that you didn't keep. Because he would do that. I'm gonna help you with college. I'm gonna help you. I got a partial scholarship in junior high school to an Ivy League school. To a very good school. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you. And he would never do the things he said he would do. So it took not only my grandfather, my uncles, and the men that I dated some wonderful men, to show me that a man could be a man of his word. But I still never dug into why I would get mad about this phone call. I mean, I would be heated. I would set time aside for you and you didn't call me back. Now I don't worry about it. Now I may not call you back. Now I don't worry about it. But I had to heal that part of me. So when you have a trigger, that's a place to start in your healing. Ask yourself, why am I upset? And keep asking why until you get to the bottom of it.
You got to know the why.
You got to know the why.
I don't think that's a bad trigger, actually. The only part I think is negative is when you get upset about it, because that's a pet peeve of mine too. Granted, I had to learn that everybody doesn't hold keeping your word on the same level.
Yeah.
But if you, let's say, promise to do something, or my time is invested, I expect you to value my time. And if you don't, I don't think you value me, because as they say, it's just not a saying. Time is like one of the most important things we have. That's something that we can never recover. So
right.
Somebody doesn't respect your time, hey, they can leave you in the wind.
And that goes what you said, Sonya, about self-respect. If someone doesn't value your time, then they don't respect you, because like you said, you set aside certain things to do it. So if you have respect for yourself and someone isn't giving you that respect in return, then like you said, it is important. It's not a bad trigger for you to recognize that, hey, I am worthy of having my time respected. Now, how you react to it and how you respond to it, that's a different story. But having respect of self and everything about you, including your time, yeah.
And I agree.
And you know what?
Go ahead, Alex.
I'm sorry, Sonya. Just real quick, being in business, time is money. So just like JDUB was saying, listen, we made an agreement. We're going to meet here. We're going to try to close this deal, whatever. And I can't find you. That's very, very disrespectful to me. Okay, that's like a slap in the face. Okay, you're there, and I'm just going to take my time. I'm a lollygag. I'll be there in 30 minutes or whatever. That's disrespectful. That's not a respect for somebody's time, because you made an agreement to do something. Your word has to be your bond. Something else 5%ers would always say, my word is my bond, And but the second thing is, if you're in a personal relationship or one of your siblings call you, or a friend or a relative, you're sleeping, you're cooking, you're not near the phone. Okay. If I don't answer right then and there, it's not a slight to you. Don't take it personal. I don't take my phone everywhere I go. So some people, you may be cooking, you may be taking a nap, you may be taking the garbage out, don't have your phone with you. And if you don't answer them right at that moment, they blow up. And they got to find out why they do that, because it has nothing to do with you. It's a trigger.
And that's what I'm saying. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe respect, keep your word, respect your time. I'm not going to get upset. I'm going to handle you differently, because you're teaching me how to treat you. You're teaching me that I can't trust you. So I'm not going to trust you. But the energy and the anger and the frustration, the emotions that I had that came with it is what I don't carry anymore. I just know moving forward, this is how
you got your boundaries. Your boundaries.
That's it. That's it. But I did have to, if there was something else there, because I'm like, this is past ups. Now I know I don't need to be upset about this. I'm not talking about business or work. I'm just talking about general. We were talking on the phone. They'd be like, hey, I'm gonna call you right back. You have to take ownership of yourself. I take ownership of me. I would say, okay, let me set across. They didn't ask me to set it sometime. They didn't ask me to do that. I'm the one that's like, let me make sure I'm available for you, right? Because I want to please you. That I want to make sure you're happy. I put that on me, right? That's not something we agreed on. It was me doing me. And I had to say, Sonya, okay, you need to find out what that is about. And that was that. Now, again, when it comes down to business, when it comes down to certain things, I expect for you to keep your word. I'm going to respect that you and trust that you're going to keep your word. You're going to do what you say you're going to do. And if you don't, I handle you accordingly. If you're not trustworthy, if you're not a safe space for me, and I just treat you that way moving forward. And don't, I'll tell you about it, but don't expect change until I see change. But my blood pressure will not be up. I tell you, you are not worth my blood pressure.
Listen, and as you said, people will teach you how to treat them, and they'll teach you how to treat them, and vice versa, whatever, So you just got to pay attention. They'll show you.
You do. Yeah. Bottom line is just always just kind of check in when you have certain things that trigger you a lot. Look into what that is. It could be something, it could be nothing, but oftentimes it's something, and we're not quite aware, because I wouldn't have never known. You could have never told me I had daddy issues. I was like, I have plenty of daddies. I call my granddaddy daddy. I have a pops. I have an uncle so-and-so, 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 so-so. I can call them anytime if I have any questions. They're there for me, but I only have one father.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so we made amends. We still don't have a relationship. I'm fine with that now. But before, I used to deny that it was an issue, but I really didn't know it ran as deep as it did. So check in on yourself. That's my main point. Check in on yourself. You'll be surprised at what is hindering your relationships or why you're making the choices that you make.
Yes.
I had mommy issues and daddy issues.
Yeah, teach your kids that your word is important, because that does carry with the same thing happened you know, that scenario, that's a real scenario when your father say he coming to get you and he don't show, that lives
Man.
with you for the rest of your life. And all he had to do is
Mhm.
say, call, hey, I won't be able to pick you up, not have you waiting. And then that affects how you deal with other people. It's a real thing.
Right.
Definitely had to clean that up.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
got all these old stories about, he went out for a loaf of bread or a pack of cigarettes and never came back. These kind of so I
Now
literally
Yeah.
just,
lived that.
just more so the father that's apart and you're looking forward to that time, and
Mhm.
Mhm.
how people, focus on so much things and trying to provide kids, whatever. The kids, even from back in the day till now, the presence is more important. They remember the presence. They don't remember the money and the presence. So that is so important. Keep your word. Be a person of your word. And if you
Mhm.
can't keep it, be a person that communicated. I had an example today. I called, I let Sonya know. I was like, hey, I may be 15 minutes late to this because I promised you that I would be here at 5. And that was at
Mhm.
9 o'clock this morning because I
Mhm.
believe I gave you my word and said I would do. That's the type of person I
Right,
am. And if I can't
Mhm.
keep it, you
right.
will get some communication. You don't have to look for me or wonder what happened.
I appreciate that too, JDUB.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So I'm going to put up some, we're going to get ready to wrap this up, but I do want to put up some signs of, did I put it in here? Oh, I didn't. I thought I put the signs of, oh, there we go. Signs of like depression and possible suicide. If you have someone that needs some help, or if you yourself need some help, please reach out. I found a Black support line because I know we have our own set of traumas and experiences that makes us see life a little differently. And I put it in the description box. You can contact them. They do phone calls or FaceTime, just kind of talk to someone. And I know money is an issue for a lot of people, but I'm telling you, don't go get your hair, nails done. Don't go buy no new shoes. Don't do nothing for your car. Don't get a new outfit and not go take care of your mental health. Your mental health is most
Mhm.
important. And if you really, really can't see, if you can seek resources for someone in your financial state. But some of the things you want to look for is someone talking about suicide. Someone saying they're tired, they don't want to be here anymore. Like when you ask someone how they're doing, really ask like how are you really? You
Right.
know, how are you really? Um, when you see people withdrawing, um, check in. I have friends who check in all the time who are like, "Hey, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." Because but now my house is a whole place of peace for me, right? But everyone doesn't have that, and I understand that. So if you're withdrawing, check in with your person. I'm just checking to see how you're doing. If you need me, I'm here. Make sure you make yourself available for the best way you can, or send them some resources. Sometimes your plate is full and you can't take on anymore. It's hard to be there for someone else when your cup is empty. So you may want to forward them some information. Again, I left all the stuff, information in the description. People who are preoccupied with death and dying. Y'all remember back in the day, Biggie had all kind of songs about death and dying. And I've experienced that with some loved ones where they are hyper focused on the loss of life. So if you hear someone having a conversation, again, check in. If you're feeling that way, please check in with someone, seek some help. And I do initial free calls. And if you need just to talk to somebody, you can use that initial free call just to talk to me. I will talk to you. You just please reach out to me. I'm not a mental health professional. I am a registered nurse. I do have contact and resources, and I will help you the best way I can. Okay. If you're feeling trapped, if you're feeling hopeless about a situation, again, reach out. Increase of substance use. If you are starting to drink more, starting to do more drugs, if you're trying, they don't have it on here, but sex more. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of people use sex for depression and to numb themselves and to deny their feelings, as we kind of alluded to a little bit earlier. So try to pay attention to your patterns. Excuse me. If you have a change of routine, you're having problems sleeping, you're sleeping too much, you can't sleep at all, you don't want to eat or your eating patterns change, you start eating more. Again, it's something to pay attention to. Destructive behavior. If you notice one of your peers or your friends just kind of doing a whole lot of risky things, sometimes they're trying to do harm to themselves. And I see this a lot in the hospital. Please get some help, or ask your friend if they need some help, or your loved one. Somebody who's getting rid of their belongings, things like that. We see that a lot in the hospital when they just start sharing things with people and giving everything away. That is an ideal time to check in. Saying goodbye, these weird cryptic messages. I had a loved one contact me and ask me if I would take their child. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? And I'm so happy I made that phone call, you know. And personality changes. When you see severe personality changes, a person is extremely anxious, angry, just volatile in some kind of way, that is usually a sign. Something happened to one of my friends lately that made me really sad, but I understand that the person that they were dealing with was really going through, and I'm happy they got out of that situation safe, but it could have been different had, someone didn't intervene. So those are some of the signs of suicide and depression, and just not being in a healthy mental state. So if you have those signs, or someone you know have those signs, especially if you have young boys, please look out for them and try to help them the best you can. At least send resources if you yourself don't have the tools to help. For us medical professionals, if there's any other medical professional besides myself, we deal a lot with stereotypes, and I'm very careful about that. So please make sure you be mindful of that. Educate yourself about different communities. This isn't something that we do anymore in healthcare, and I really hope we bring it back, because everyone's community is different. And then also consult the proper help for the proper thing. So if you need a trauma specialist, get a trauma specialist. You can't fix everybody. It's not your job to fix everybody. That's why in my videos, I'll say, hey, you may need a trauma specialist for certain things, because everyone can't help with every mental health or every medical condition. We, as a community, how can we support our Black men, our Black boys? We need to be present and let them have the conversation. Sometimes it's not your time to tell your side of the story, why you did or why you didn't. Sometimes a person just needs an ear. Be an ear and be a shoulder. Okay. Be careful not to label people. This is one of my pet peeves. Everyone's not a narcissist. Everyone is not trying to hurt you. Everyone is not bad. Everyone is not crazy. Some people are having internal struggles and they just need help. So don't just assume to know what's going on with people. And next, don't ask other people to educate. Well, that one doesn't apply to us because it's our culture. But those are some of the tools that we can use to help. Again, I put links and everything in the bio for you all, and also links to these lovely gentlemen's channel. Please subscribe to their channel, support their channels, comment, thumbs up their videos, show them some love. And I want to thank you guys so much for this lovely discussion, for being vulnerable, for being honest, for sharing, and just for being here with me today. As JDUB say, you can be anywhere else and you choose to be here. And
You can be anywhere in this YouTube world, but you're here with me. I really appreciate it, and I really mean
it. All right, I'm going to ask you gentlemen to please sign out. Well, before I do that, thanks to everybody in the chat. I know I didn't read off your comments, but I wanted to keep this conversation going. Thank you for coming to support us. Thank you for thumbs up the video. Thank you for sharing your stories. And thank you again, just for being here and supporting us and sending these lovely gentlemen some love. Okay, we're going to sign out. Alex, and then I go to Christopher, then it's JDUB. It's JDUB.
Yes, I want to thank you, Sonya G, first and foremost for having this and having us on, allowing us to be vulnerable and telling our stories. I think you're an awesome woman, an awesome queen. We talk a lot behind the scenes about a lot of different things pertaining to mental health and life in general. And I really appreciate you. I appreciate Chris, JDUB for coming on here and giving me the support. I did not want to be on here alone, so I'm glad these other gentlemen are here that I can lean on as a support system to help with the issues that I was having in my life and know that I'm not alone. See, speaking to them, that's what I'm saying. Isolation. They've had their issues. I've had mine. We're not alone in this thing. So we got to be a support system for each other. So for everybody, just go to my channel, Magnetic Repellent, right here on YouTube. I appreciate all the love and support I can get. And I'll continue to be, open and vulnerable to people who want to hear my stories, because that's how we learn. Our life is a classroom, and I'll be open to everybody.
Yes. Christopher?
Thank you, Sonya, for this. This is so important, the platform and this conversation. So thank you so much for having me. I mean, and to Alex and JDUB, man, it's empowering to be around other Black men, that encouragement, that, to lean on each other, to encourage each other. So I appreciate you, Sonya, appreciate you, Alex, appreciate you, JDUB. And thank you as well to the audience for coming in and I'm reading the comments as they come through. Those, that encouragement, that is just some powerful stuff. So I just, thank each and every one of y'all.
Is JDUB?
All right. Sonya, thank you for having me and having me group with these fellas. It's been a wonderful experience. It felt cleansing. I felt like I gained so much knowledge all at the same time. You see, I changed my new name. It's Dr. JDUB. I feel like I learned so much. Now let me stop. Let me not do that before I get in trouble. I'm gonna change it. But, yeah, I just appreciate that we could get in this type of space, and this is the start of where we can make a change in making healthy mental choices, so we can show that everybody's can go through something, but we got to work our way through it and make it normal to say, hey, I'm having a shortcoming, I'm having a tough time, and look for people that can help you or for resources to help. So, and I also want to thank the wonderful chat. Shout out to everyone who support the chat and put in their good comments and wisdom, as well as my YouTube family. And there are different people I see: AW, LMB, Monique King, the Queen, actually Aubrey, all the people out there. So I appreciate that, because without y'all, we ain't doing nothing. We just talking to the screen. So just thank you so much. And check out my channel if you like to do the reviews of reality shows. It's JDUB, not Dr. JDUB.
You're gonna have to change it. You gotta change your titles now. Okay, gentlemen, if you'll stay on with me behind the scenes for just a moment. We are signing off. And as I always say, guys, please don't forget to love yourself for who you are. I'll see you soon. Have a great evening. Take care. Mwah. Bye-bye.
All right, y'all.
Peace.